Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining us. We are so excited to have you here today to learn about creating more diverse and inclusive workspaces, and how Second Chance Hiring Alliance can help you do so. We are also excited to have you guys here for our release of our publication, The Workforce Solution, a DC Employers FAQ for Second Chance Hiring. We have a great and fabulous panel and speakers for you guys today for this webinar. And I am excited for you guys to be here. Yes, this webinar is hosted by the Second Chance Hiring Alliance and the Greater Washington, D.C. Black Chamber of Commerce. But before we kick things off for the day, I want to go over a couple of housekeeping items. First and foremost, feel free to use captions for this webinar by clicking the captions button at the bottom of your screen. Also, we have enabled the Q&A feature. So if you have any questions, please type your answers in the Q&A box located on the bottom bar of your screen, and we will ask your questions to the panelists at the end of the presentation. All right, we have our agenda today. I smile because I am so excited for this agenda. On today's agenda, you will be introduced to, obviously, the Second Chance Hiring Alliance. You will learn about what Second Chance Hiring is. You will see a fantastic presentation of the release of our newest publication, The Workforce Solution. DC got Employers FAQ for Second Chance Hiring, as I mentioned a little earlier. You will also get introduced to our core group member, Greater Washington Greater Washington DC Black Chamber of Commerce. I always trip up over that long title, so do not blame me. And then we will have an amazing panel presentation. And then after an amazing panel presentation, we'll open it up for Q&A. And then we'll wrap up and close and hope that you guys have some great questions. So I want to also share a little bit about the Second Chance Hiring Alliance, right? So I'll give you a brief overview. The Second Chance Hiring Alliance is a coalition of employers and employment support providers working together to promote inclusive hiring practices that benefit individuals, businesses, and communities. We take a hands-on approach by helping connect employers to new, qualified, and ready-to-work talent, creating spaces for dialogue between employers and job readiness programs, and hosting network events for our Second Chance Hiring Alliance members. By offering opportunities for growth, advocating for policy changes, and fostering collaborations, we create an environment where everyone can thrive and contribute. SCHA brings together employers and organizations working with just as impacted individuals to foster collaborations and synergy. By joining forces, we create a supportive ecosystem that promotes second chance hiring and enables positive outcomes for both job seekers and employers. What is second chance hiring? I love that question. So before we dive into our new publication, I want to talk a little bit about what is second chance hiring, and why it matters. Second chance hiring, or fair chance hiring, is the practice of hiring folks who've been impacted by the justice system. Second chance hiring can really support a justice-involved person as they come back to the community from arrest or incarceration, helping improve community safety and increase economic prosperity. Some of the benefits of second chance hiring, just a few things that I would like to list is, obviously, the first thing is there are several things that you can get out of second chance hiring as recruiting new untapped talent, right? Supporting justice impacted DC residents, expanding the DEIJ efforts, and we all know that needs some attention paid to in today's climate. Increase our community safety, When we have second chance hiring, we have our folks in our communities that coming back to our communities, do the things that we need. You will also hire some of the most loyal and hardworking employers. And last but not least, tax credits. And we will get into some of those things. But these are some of the benefits of second chance hiring. Now, without further ado, I will go into our very first presenter, and our very first presenter is Emily Casamidas. Emily is a legislative and movement lawyer whose work is grounded in principles of abolition, harm reduction, disability justice, critical race theory, and intersectional feminism. She is committed to building communities in which we prevent and repair harm without defaulting to incarceration. She most recently worked as senior counsel to the DC council member Janice Lewis George and advising her on community safety, environment, business and economic development, and other policy matters. Prior to her government service, she was director of government and external affairs at the DC Justice Lab, leading the organization's relationships with elected officials and policymakers, developing and executing advocacy strategies, and building teams of partners to fight for policy solutions. Before that, she served as Deputy Director of the Council for Court Excellence, our very own, where she led organizational strategy, development, and managed a team of policy councils to address the most pressing issues in DC's legal system. Emily will present and officially release the Workforce Solution DC Employers FAQ for Second Chance Hiring, a resource from the Second Chance Hiring Alliance. Emily, thank you for being here, and it's all on you.
Thank you, Jean. And everyone, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be back in this space, and especially to be able to usher in the workforce solution. This is a really important publication. It's something we've been thinking about doing for years in DC, and I'm so grateful that the Second Chance Hiring Alliance has finally put this resource together and gotten it into the hands of employees. So like Jean said, my name is Emily Casamidas. I'm an attorney. I've been working in DC for 15 years, focused a lot on reentry issues. And we know that there are incentives for employers to hire people with criminal records, but that they're not particularly well known. So that's what we're here for today. This publication is designed to answer questions about the most frequently asked questions about second chance hiring, and we really supply the legal requirements, the financial incentives, and the protections available to employers looking to second chance hire. So your first question probably is, what is second chance hiring? And second chance hiring is a really broad term for hiring that is directed at recruiting employees who have criminal records. And criminal records itself is also a really broad term. This can mean anything from an arrest to a charge to a conviction. It doesn't necessarily have to end in conviction. In fact, we know that while 1 in 7 adults in DC has a publicly available criminal record, there are actually only half of those have a conviction attached to it, where a person was found guilty or pled guilty. And so one of the things that we lay out at the beginning of this FAQ is a series of definitions that help you really sort through what these different words mean, and when you're looking at someone's record, help you interpret what it says there. Then we get into the FAQs, and I just wanted to take a moment first to explain how this guide got put together. SCHA is really grateful to Crowell & Mooring, two attorneys there, Katie Abel and Tony Jackson, did a lot of research on this report, and the Second Chance Hiring Alliance has vetted all of the information and their feedback from real employers who really practice second chance hiring is included in this document. So we're trying to make it as easy to use as a resource as possible. So when we get to the FAQs, we broke these down into a couple of different areas. The first is that there are no general bars on hiring someone with a criminal record. So we want to put the baseline out there. There are no federal or DC laws that specific, like that generally ban this practice. However, if you're in a particular industry, like the financial industry, for instance, there can be particular convictions, like money laundering, that would prevent a person from holding a specific job in the financial markets. And so that's something that you will have to dig into as you're looking at your field and trying to figure out what convictions might be relevant to the type of work you're doing. And that's something that we really encourage you to talk to your legal professionals, your HR professionals about. But there are a bunch of factors in the guide that can help you decide whether those convictions might be directly related to the position that you're hiring for. Next, we look at any incentives to actually hire people. And so, yes, there are tax benefits available to businesses who want to hire justice involved people. First of all, the federal work opportunity tax credit can be claimed by someone who's hiring someone in their first year out of prison. And that has a maximum benefit of $2,400 a year in tax write-offs. Another benefit is actually a local benefit that has been in effect this year, and we're waiting to see the budget for next year to make sure that it will be something that businesses can apply for again next year. But locally, you can, if you have hired someone within their first year, you can get up to 40% of minimum wage back from DC government. So that's up to $36,400 in a person's first year of employment. And during their second year, that doubles because the government really wants to incentivize people keeping these employees. So in the second year of employment, businesses are eligible for up to $72,800 back per employee. The final set of FAQs are looking at the protections that are available. So we want to make sure that you can get bonded. You can get bonds from $5,000 to $25,000 to protect your business if you're hiring people with records. And you can also get protection from negligent hiring lawsuits. In DC, there's a law that makes it so that as long as you did due diligence, the fact that you hired a person with a criminal record cannot be brought into evidence against you in a negligent hiring lawsuit. And digging through our research, we have not found any records that any business in DC has ever been held liable for negligent hiring in cases where that person had a criminal record. So we are, Jean, can you go to the next slide? Thanks. Okay, so the final is that we also include information about the local DC laws that provide guidance for how you can and can't use criminal records when you're making hiring decisions, and the EEOC, which is a federal guidance, not a law, but gives a lot of tips on how to use records when you're making hiring decisions. Now, there were a couple of gaps here, right? The law is not perfect, and there are not yet perfect incentives. For instance, we want to see more meaningfully scaled financial incentives for employers. The federal program, the work opportunity tax credit, a couple $1,000s isn't necessarily going to make or break your bottom line. And so I know that sometimes feels like not enough to get over the gap, but locally we are changing that. In addition to the incentive that I discussed earlier, I wanted to let everyone know that Councilmember Brooke Pinto actually just introduced a bill. It is called the Helping Incentivize Returning Citizen Employment Amendment Act of 2025, the HIRE Act for short. And this bill, if it was passed, would give another $5,000 in tax credit for any full-time employee who is hired within 3 years of their release from incarceration. So this is something that the DC Council cares about, and something that people are trying to really focus on improving, because the research shows that when people are employed, when they're coming home, when they can provide for themselves and their family, they're less likely to be arrested again, less likely to be incarcerated again, and that makes all of us safer. So we also want to make sure, again, that you are consulting your HR, your legal, your tax professionals. This is a summary of what the law is, but it is not legal advice specific to you. And consulting a professional can be really important here. The last thing is that we know that for some justice involved employees, they want and need a little bit more support when they are starting in a new job and a new role, and working in a specific type of position for the first time. And so peer support for justice involved employees is also something that has not been a strength in DC lately, but the Second Chance Hiring Alliance is trying to change that. And by gathering together employers who do second chance hiring practices, and by getting them the information they need and connecting them so that they can connect their employees, we really want to see more people going through the training programs that are available to them and getting the support that they need to be successful in the long term. So the publication is live. There are two ways to access it. The first is to go to the website that is listed here, and that will be out on CCE social media and also posted in the chat. The second is that you can scan the QR code. So if you take out your phone, open up the QR code scanner, you will be able to access the website with this publication directly from your phone. Jean, I'm going to pass it back to you.
Thank you, Emily. I'll do that again. Thank you, Emily. That was a great presentation. Great information. Officially releasing our FAQ. And also for everybody who's on, again, officially releasing our FAQ, so you can access it now. The full FAQ is online now. You can visit our website, the SCHA website, or scan the QR code, as Emily said. Everything is provided right here for you. So whether it's the website or the QR code link that's provided, have at it. By all means, please check out the FAQ, pass it along, support it. And most importantly, let's make the things that's in it, come to fruition in terms of supporting second chance hiring. And I guess we are now transitioning into our panel portion of the webinar. Again, I told you we have some very exciting panelists, but first I want to introduce one of our, when I say our, the Second Chance Hiring Alliance's core group members and partners, the Greater Washington, D.C. Black Chamber of Commerce. The Greater Washington, D.C. Black Chamber of Commerce is committed to promoting Black business growth in the District of Columbia by providing resources through advocacy, education, facilitating network opportunities. To tell you more about the Greater Washington, D.C. Black Chamber of Commerce and some also about herself, I would love to introduce the extraordinary Simone Ellison, who is also a part of the Second Chance Hiring Alliance core group. And Simone Ellison is the Director of Engagement and Strategy Partners and today's moderator. Simone, if you want to add a few words about the Greater Washington Black Chamber of Commerce and the work that you do there, please do so. And I am passing it to you, Simone. Thank you.
Thanks, Jean. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today. And thank you for that insightful overview of the Second Chance Hiring FAQ, Emily. As we've heard, this resource is a vital tool for employers looking to build inclusive workplaces while addressing workforce shortages. Again, my name is Simone Ellison, and as my current role, I'm the Director of Engagement and Strategic Partnerships at the Greater Washington, D.C. Black Chamber of Commerce. I am honored today to moderate the panel discussion. At GWBCC, we champion economic growth by advocating for policies that support Black entrepreneurs and professionals through advocacy, education, and networking. We connect our members with opportunities for growth, access to capital, and key business partnerships. Our mission is to strengthen Black businesses by fostering economic development, entrepreneurship, and enterprise through access to capital, supplier diversity initiatives, our cohorts, and scalability. As the region's leading advocate for Black-owned businesses, we provide a platform for engagement with policymakers, funding agencies, and other strategic partnerships. Again, as I said, the membership includes advocacy, networking, business referrals, and other opportunities. To learn more about the Greater Washington, D.C. Black Chamber of Commerce, please visit us at gwbcc.org or follow us on Instagram at gwbcc.org, or I'll also put my email in the chat later. GWBCC is proud to support initiatives like this webinar and the core group as they allow with our mission to expand economic opportunities while championing equity and inclusion for justice impacted individuals. Second chance hiring plays a crucial role in this effort and has access to meaningful employment that can fully contribute to our economy. Today, we're joined by an incredible panel of experts who will discuss the opportunities and challenges in second chance hiring and how we can all contribute to more equitable workforce solutions. I will first give brief intros to the speakers, and then I'll hand the mic off to each of them to discuss their organizations, as well as talking about common challenges, and also about throughout the FAQ. So first, I'm going to start with Lamont Carey is the Executive Director of the Mayor's Office of Returning Citizens Affairs, or MORCA, appointed by Mayor Muriel Bowser in 2019. Under his leadership, MORCA serves 1,500 to 1,800 returning citizens annually, connecting them with vital resources and strengthening collaborations with community, faith-based, and nonprofit organizations. A former returning citizen himself, Carey is deeply committed to breaking barriers and expanding opportunities for justice-impacted individuals. Born and raised in Washington, D.C., Carey overcame early challenges such as incarceration at age 16 and post-release obstacles to become an entrepreneur, author, motivational speaker, and advocate. He founded Contact Visits Incorporated, a nonprofit focused on crime prevention and reintegration, and has impacted countless lives through programs like Passport to a New Life. Beyond advocacy, Carey is an internationally recognized spoken word artist, playwright, and producer with appearances on HBO's The Wire, Russell Simmons' Def Poetry Jam, and BET's Lyric Cafe. He has authored 6 books, included Dead Before 18, Saving Our Boys from the Streets, and has received numerous accolades, including the U.S. Senate Congressional Award and the Pennsylvania Legislative Black Caucus Civil Rights Award. Carey continues to use his platform to inspire, educate, and also drive systematic change and policies affecting returning citizens at risk and at-risk youth. And next we have Melanie Woodard, who's the Vice President and Strategic Marketing Manager at at Industrial Bank, who's also, Industrial Bank is a part of our board at the Chamber, where she oversees marketing initiatives, budget management, and data-driven product development. She began her career at the bank in 1999 as financial assistant to the CFO before transitioning to marketing in 2008. And driven by her passion for financial education and community impact. A dedicated advocate for financial empowerment, Melanie has played a key role in forging partnerships with government agencies and nonprofits, including MORCA and the DC Department of Corrections. She's led Industrial Bank's initiative to equip currently and formerly incarcerated individuals with financial literacy skills, and has been recognized for her commitment to service. Melanie received the 2023 Community Service Award for Women of Prince George's County. She's an active member of the Community Development Bankers Association and serves as the board of Transportation Pathway Keys and Life Skills and Damascus House Community Development Corporation, supporting families and individuals impacted by incarceration. And last but not least, we also have the Reverend Dr. Sylvia A. Bullock, who is a motivational speaker, preacher, and community advocate. She is the founding pastor of Seek His Faith Ministries in Lanham, Maryland, and a retired FDA federal employee with over 35 years of experience. Currently, she serves as the relationship manager at Flick Shop, helping families stay connected with incarcerated loved ones. She also contributes to the Council for Court Excellence, the District Task Force on Jails and Justice, and the Vera Institute of Justice Advisory Board. Dr. Bullock holds a BA in Education from Trinity College and a Master's of Divinity at Pastoral Counseling for Virginia Union University, and a Doctor of Ministry in Church Leadership from Wesley Theology Seminary. An ordained minister in the American Baptist Churches of the United States. She's known for her warmth, wisdom, and dedication to justice. She's a proud mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother who was recently honored with the Prison Fellowship Charles Colson Hope Award for her impact work. And that concludes our panel. So I'm going to hand the mic over to Director Lamont Carey. And at the end, I will ask a few questions.
Hello, everyone. Such a pleasure to be here. Again, my name is Lamont Curry, Executive Director of the Mayor's Office on Returning Citizens Affairs. And our primary goal is to assist returning citizens not only to reintegrate back into the community, but enter a pathway to the middle class or improve the quality of life for those who don't have that pathway because of other challenges to the middle class. And how we do that is partnerships for the most part. We partner with mental health providers, employers to do direct hiring, training providers to increase the skills of returning citizen, because we know for individuals to be successful, not only in their transition, but also in their life, it's income. Part of that is having the income and having the skill set to reach their financial heights. And one way that we help with navigating employment for returning citizens, Emily spoke of earlier, it is actually a MORCA program to access the jobs where employers can apply to participate, to receive a grant to participate in the Access to Job program. And again, the first year receive 40% of minimum wage that we cover. And then next year, the second year, it is 80%. And the third year is the expectation that the employer takes on the employee full time. And also how we try to increase the employment of returning citizens with a few other ways is we collaborate with organizations who provide workforce development with an employment component as part of the program. In addition, we have the MORCA Georgetown Paralegal Program. This is a program with 15 returning citizens get trained as paralegals, and during that process, they interview with some of the top law firms and organizations in the district to receive a one-year fellowship that the hopes is that it turns over into full-time and employment. In addition to that, with some of our employment partners, we have been able to do in-house direct hiring. So say there is an employer that is looking for a peer support specialist. We'll look in, my workforce team will look in the database and see what clients that we have that are interested in that field. And this way, we match the employer and the client with an individual that actually wants to work in that field, and we support them in that journey. So that is a little of what MORCA does, and I can ask questions or add on as the program goes on.
We're now going to turn it over to Sylvia. Sylvia, you want to go off mute and just talk about and discuss so okay. An overview about SCHA, the origin, and what the business does.
Sylvia, if you're speaking, we cannot hear you. I think you're on mute.
Sylvia, you're on mute. You want to just come off mute?
You are on mute, Sylvia. Yeah, I think you're still muted, Sylvia.
Okay, we're gonna try one more time, otherwise we'll circle back at the end. But Sylvia, did you want to take yourself off mute so you can explain about SCHA and about the second chance hiring employer and the School of Business? Okay. I think we're going to head toward Melanie with Industrial Bank. Then we'll come back to Sylvia at the end. Melanie, did you want to give a brief overview of Industrial Bank, second chance hiring employer, and the field, and then also basically discussing also some of the justice impact folks based on company policy.
Sure. Good afternoon. Again, I'm Melanie Woodard. Thanks for the invitation to participate. A little bit about Industrial Bank. We are an African-American family-owned bank. Our current president, B. Dormitch, his grandfather started the bank back in 1934. So we just celebrated 90 years this past August. We consider ourselves a second chance bank overall, where we provide products and services to those who may need a second chance. With regard to hiring in this highly regulated field, as Emily mentioned, our HR department is committed to, of course, just like any other organization, of hiring the best and based on without bias, but based on solely on merit. However, as an FDI insured bank, we do have some criteria that we have to follow in order to maintain our insurance. That criteria pertains to all candidates, but however, for those who are entering into society, we require the date and nature of the offense, including any significant details that could be pertinent to our organization, circumstances, and relevance of the offense to the position that they are being sought, that they're trying to apply for, will be considered, except for financial crimes, such as money laundering. In this case, where the offense is a financial crime, as noted in and I'm going to get a little technical just because this will give you all the information. Noted in the Federal Depository Insurance Corporation, or FDIC, which is who insures our deposits, of policy section 19 of the FDI Act. The FDIC must provide consent to such employment in the form of a waiver. Waivers are granted or denied on a case-by-case basis. And basically what the section 19 of the FDI Act says is it prohibits individuals convicted of certain crimes from becoming employed by or participating in the affairs of an FDIC insured depository institution. So our second chance, So as I mentioned, that we are a second chance bank, and we started working with the justice impacted population actually in 2016 when we actually volunteered with Director Carey's nonprofit contact visit. It was myself and a colleague, Jackie Bowes, where he had requested that we do financial education seminars for youth who had been charged as adults who were being housed at the Baltimore City County Jail. From there, we started doing sessions at the DC Department of Corrections, which we've been doing since 2018. So we go in on a regular basis to the various units and provide a 7-week program, an hour per session of different financial education topics. As we believe in empowering, educating and empowering, because we consider ourselves recidivism interrupters from a financial standpoint, because if we all think about it, the ills of society start with the lack of a dollar and not having much of it. So we are committed to serving and educating and empowering the population that has been justice impacted, whether they are currently or formerly incarcerated. We also provide accounts for those who are currently incarcerated, which we are one of maybe 2 or 3 banks in the country that does that, because we feel like, to complement what we're teaching them, we want them to have something that they can say, like product or service that they can use to save so that they have something to come home to. And so we feel like the importance of a second chance is just that, that it helps to put a positive impact into our community and to reduce recidivism, to allow them to become productive citizens of their communities. So thanks again for having us.
Thank you, Melanie. And then we're going to turn it back over to Dr. Bullock, to Sylvia. She'll be talking about Flick Shop, the origin, and second chance hiring employers and the school business. Oh, Dr. Bullock, you're still on mute.
You're
Okay, we're gonna ask a couple questions while Dr. Bullock gets her mic together. So in any event, this is for the overall panel. What would you have found helpful to know from this FAQ that you didn't know about when you started? Did you find anything in the FAQ surprising, Dr. Carey or Melanie from Industrial? Or Director Carey, excuse me.
So what I found surprising, which I didn't know, was that half of the criminal records are incomplete. So they don't even include information about whether a person was ultimately convicted, which I think leads to particular biases or for people who are looking to hire someone, because they may not consider that they may not even have been convicted. So I was surprised to hear that the criminal records half of them are incomplete, something I didn't know. But I was glad to see that the statistics show that individuals with criminal records perform the same or better than employees without a criminal record. And I find through our experience with working with the Justice Impacted, they are some of the brightest and most educated individuals, and very committed to creating a different life, making a different choice.
Yeah, I would just say that it was refreshing to see one of the things that we often talk about when we're talking to employers or the general public, that when you give a returning citizen an opportunity, they can show you how much of an asset, because there are like several internal things that they're trying to overcome, trying to prove to themselves that they could do the work, trying to prove to family and oftentimes friends that they are changed people, and the employer for giving them the opportunity. And this granting the opportunity not only makes them loyal, but also it feeds into their eagerness to learn. Because one of the things that I think general public doesn't always aware of, or the business community, is that returning citizens, when they have been convicted and moved into a federal state, they work. There's almost never a time when the individual is not working. Everything from returning citizens usually do everything from on that compound except for opening and closing the gate. They doing maintenance, they doing the cooking, they doing the electricity, they doing the groundskeeping, they're doing tutoring, they're starting programs, they're running NAAA, religious affairs, you name it, because the prison environment is a mini city. And who's really leading that and making sure that it functions are current residents that are incarcerated.
Thank you for that, Melanie and Director Carey. We're going to switch it back over to Dr. Bullock. If you want to just answer that question about what you thought was surprising about the FAQ, and then discuss your organization.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, we're able to hear you. Thank you.
What I found helpful about the FAQ was the knowledge of knowing what to expect and how families can be engaging. I know in 2004, when my son was released, I had no idea of any direction and places that I could go or people that I could connect with. So knowing that there are programs available for justice impacted persons is very powerful. And I believe that the work that we're doing now is just really phenomenal to help those who are coming home. Again, I don't know what happened with my computer here, but as introduced, I am Reverend Dr. Sylvia Bullock. I serve as the relationship manager at FlickShop, and thank you again for allowing FlickShop for me to be able to be a part of the panel in today's webinar. In my role at FlickShop, I connect with organizations across the country that work hard for justice impacted people, reaching out to collaborate with them and to secure potential partnerships. I'm also responsible for reaching out to over 4,000 correctional facilities, including federal and state and county jails, to ensure that FlickShop is in compliance with their mail policies. And first, I'd like to just share how I came to work in this space. And it was at the age of 15 that my son and his friend, they carjacked a young man in Virginia, which led to an 8-year sentence in a maximum security prison in Virginia. And so it was after 2 years in that sentencing that he realized that that 8-year sentence that was given by the judge, he would have to actually be in the facility for 8 long years. And during that time, he became very depressed and withdrawn, and actually asked that I would stop visiting him and the family just forget about him. But instead, I continued to write letters and send pictures and visit him every weekend. And even upon his release in 2004, he was reminded of those who he left behind through calls that he was receiving, and those who he left behind that wanted to know exactly what he was doing and how he was doing, and reminded him of the time that he received those letters and postcards and information from me about what I was doing. And they wanted to know, like, what are you doing, Marcus? And so busy with work and family and traveling, He initially worked at a paint store, and after a couple of years, he started his own business and the Prospectus Painting Contractors, where he hired returning citizens, but he still was not happy with the work that he was doing on the outside and remembering those on the inside. So in 2012 is when he launched Flick Shop. His painting business was successful. He was able to take funds from the Prospectus Painting Contractors business and start the application to build the application Flick Shop. And he founded the business and developed this mobile app that helps families and friends connect with their incarcerated loved ones. So Flick Shop is a mobile app that is available both on Android and iPhone in the App Store. And customers can download the app, upload a picture, create a message with 300 characters or less, and send it to individuals in any federal, state, county, or local facility. And so to date, we are proud to say that we have been able to connect over 100,000 postcards to incarcerated individuals. And now we are launching what we call the Flick Shop Neighborhood, and scheduled to launch on April the 16th. And this tool will enable organizations, educational institutions, and community leaders to connect with incarcerated individuals through an automated system. And our second chance hiring partners can use this to engage with individuals who are preparing to return home. And with the Flick Shop Neighborhood Plus, organizations can send surveys or letters or up to 5 pages of 8.5 by 11 pages of information to incarcerated individuals via the U.S. Postal Service to help them in preparing and thinking about coming home and what they can engage in. And so we're also at the Flick Shop organization, we have the Flick Shop School of Business. As a second chance hiring employer, Flick Shop is proud to be able to be supported by Delta and AWS, and we work, these companies have come together to help with the establishment of the Flick Shop School of Business. And this initiative helps returning citizens develop entrepreneurial skills, create a portfolio, prepare a business pitch, and encourage individuals to pursue careers in tech. So once again, thank you so very much for having us here this afternoon. My apologies for the tech problems. But in a short time, we have come a long way with Flick Shop, and we're working hard to ensure that those who are coming home find a place to prosper and grow in this ever changing job market.
Thank you, Dr. Bullock, for that amazing overview. We're going to go back to the panel questions. The next question for the entire panel is, have any of you utilized specific programs mentioned in the FAQ, and how have they helped you in your hiring process? Let's start with Melanie.
So I'm not aware if HR has participated in any of the programs.
Director Carey?
Go back and double check with my staff to see which programs that we actually work with, and I can be able to relay that once before this is over.
Thank you. And Dr. Bullock?
So Flick Shop has used the Free Minds entry services. We've had persons who have come home and been in connection with Free Minds, and Free Minds have given us individuals that, especially when the Prospectus Painting Contractors, men were able to come home and gain employment there. And we've also provided clothing and different things that individuals will need coming home to the Free Minds Reentry Services. And we've been a part of the Georgetown University Pivot Program Fellowship. We've had individuals who have been a part of Georgetown and also connected with the Flick Shop School of Business.
Thank you. And then we'll first start again with Director Carey. What programs do you wish DC would have to support for second chance hiring from your experience? And then we'll just do a round robin.
Well, I can say for second chance hiring, DC has done a lot of work in trying to increase second chance hiring. I know with some of the programming like DOES, some of the workforce development programming has that component where that the organization has to be able to get individuals hired at the conclusion of those programs, including like even the project empowerment program in general, a DSI program, and where they train individuals and then put them on work sites with employers so that they can get that on-the-job experience. Even including with us without access to jobs program where we encourage organizations to hire return to citizen, and even our own advocacy internally with DC government agencies to increase employment for returning citizens within DC government. And then I want to go back to Free Minds. Most of our clients that are connected with Free Minds come in connected because they have connected with Free Minds on the front end of their incarceration, and we do refer and have had a lot of clients that have participated in the Pivot Entrepreneurship Program.
Dr. Bullock, any remarks?
One of the things that most disturbs me when I think about persons coming home is housing, and how a program, there being an opportunity for persons to not find themselves in the real state of homelessness. And that's something that I would really like to see more of, and more community activism around people being able to afford housing. And we know in DC, you really have to make a little money to be able to even afford to just live in DC. Things are so different than they were 20, 30 years ago for those persons who have been incarcerated for 30, 40 years and then coming home. And it's just amazing. It's got to be overwhelming to really think about the fact of finding affordable housing.
Melanie, any remarks? Then we're going to turn it over to the Q&A for the chat. I'm going to ask the audience to start sending their questions in from the Q&A portion. It's at the bottom of the screen where it says Q&A. You can enter your questions into the chat and ask panelists, and I'll recite the questions. But Melanie, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say the same as Sylvia was housing. We are very intentional about building partnerships around the city, in which we have done so, and that's what we hear a lot of from our partners. It's about housing, as well as from those justice impacted individuals that we serve. So yeah, I would like to see more opportunities for housing.
Okay, thank you all for those remarks. So the first,
if I can add to housing, so there isn't. I know the mayor had a goal. It was 36,000 to affordable housing that she was able to meet, but as in terms of return to citizen housing, there isn't a lot of return to citizen housing. For the most part, most individuals that access reentry housing is through SCHA. The Federal Bureau of Prison doesn't have like transitional housing for returning citizens. And even with my team, we don't just search for like reentry housing because we know that it's a limited supply. But what we do is look at the makeup of the individual. So if the individual have mental health challenges, We look at mental health organizations that have a housing component, that have a workforce development component. If an individual is a senior, female, LGBTQ, so again, we look at the makeup of the individual and see how can we get that individual housed. And one thing, what else I would say, uh, there is housing in the district in terms of like you can't make more than $55,000 a year. So you may be able to find like a 1 bedroom, may cost you what was it, like $1,089 off of Maryland Avenue, right? Or you may on Southeast to Antoinette Gardens may have a 1 bedroom for like $1,100. So our ultimate goal is how do we put this individual, how do we get these individuals skilled up and employed and be able to become independent? And so that is the ultimate goal. But for reentry housing, there is not a lot, and we're always trying to figure out ways that we can increase housing in general.
Thank you. So the first question in the Q&A asks, do you think employers would be open to the idea of job shares? For instance, if one person could make it to work because of illness, or excuse me, could not make it to work due to illness, family situation, court, or their partner, could be less money, but maybe a way for folks just coming home to not lose their job when crises arise, as they do because all challenges, housing, etc., coming home. Anyone from the panel want to have any remarks for that question for job shares?
Can you repeat it one more time so I make sure I am completely clear before I respond?
It says, do you think employers would be open to the idea of job shares? And then asking if one person couldn't make it, basically, due to illness or family situation, and if things arise within a job. So asking about job shares and challenges with housing and etc.
So I am not sure because I haven't had that experience, but what I can tell you that what employers have said, so one, we have ban the box, right? That doesn't allow for, legally doesn't allow for an employer to have on the application, have you ever been convicted of a crime? And the premise behind that is so that the individual can get in front of the employer and sell themselves through their skill set. And then up on when they do an offer letter, then they could do the background check. So it's rare that I have been in front of employers that said we're not interested in hiring returning citizens unless, like it was mentioned earlier, if it's a financial situation and the person has a crime that is similar, or becoming a nurse and can have drug convictions and things of that nature. Because we've even had conversations with correctional institutions trying to get open up every gate to returning citizens, even to be in that space. And what we couldn't get them employed as correctional officers, but we were able to have them considered for case management, program manager, things of that nature. So I have not heard them, that question that was asked, I have never had that experience. So I can't say because I've never asked about that, but some other things I think will help us improve employment of returning citizens. One of the things that my staff is required to do, if a returning citizen just come in and say that they're looking for employment, my staff is supposed to follow up with what kind of employment, because we have had experiences where you may send a person on a job and they don't like that job, right? And so they'll come back and be like, I can't do this. This doesn't fit into what I'm capable of doing, right? And so making sure that we increase skills as much as possible, make sure we utilize training programs, apprenticeship programs that may have a pathway to employment, and unions where they help their clients secure employment. but also some of the critical ones that employers have said to us is this confusion on the legalization of recreational cannabis. And they said clients can't, if they do a urinalysis, it comes back dirty. And so their policies don't support where our laws have grown in that area. So that has become one of the barriers. Even recently, we attended a conference, an employer, and this was a construction worker that said one of the things that we encourage you all to do with your clients is make sure that they know to come dressed to impress. If they don't have a suit and tie, wear a button down, some slacks, and some shoes, because sometimes they show up not prepared for the interview, even though they're going to be dirty most of the time. So these were like tips that they were given. They even went as far as with the confusion with the marijuana and saying, hey, they may not have smoked, but they may be in the presence or the household of someone that smoked. And so if they could just have someone even sniff their clothing, right, to make sure that smell is not on, because they said when they come in, they smell the smell and their impression is that it is being used. And another thing that they stressed was asking questions. When they give the opportunity to ask questions, where they're asking questions like, is the salary that was on the application is still the salary, and what should my expectations be within my first 90 days of working at these jobs? So these were some of the tips that they provided to us to increase. But again, that was the first time I ever heard about employment, the sharing. But I do know as many skills that we can enhance, as many relationships that we can build with employers, and then as much as we can address those concerns that they have, I think that will help us in increasing the employment opportunities for our population and continue to knock down barriers.
Okay, thank you so much. We're going to get to our next question. We have a ton of different questions coming in from the audience. Will the panelists please comment on work performance of returning citizens at their respective businesses / institutions?
Well,
Dr. Bull.
yeah, I'm gonna say I take a. I have found, just with those persons who have come through Flick Shop and just talking to individuals who are working hard, that they justice impacted people typically, to me, work harder than anyone else that is hired in the office, no matter what. They know that they have to work hard. They have to be better than the best, if you will. And so their attitude about the work is totally different, I think, from most individuals who they don't take their job for granted. They want to be employed. They want to do better, to be better. And so, I just find that overwhelmingly, they're just better employers coming into the workforce.
I can add, yeah, it goes back to what I was saying a few minutes ago. If we can match people with where their skill sets lie, they thrive. We have everyone in here from Project Empowerment graduates, from Mocha Georgetown Paralegal graduates, from Free Minds members, from Voices of a Second Chance, from Pivot Program participants. And when the individual comes into Mocha, one of the first things they want to do, or they say outside of like CDL, they want to mentor or they want to give back, and being able to hire some of those individuals in Morca, we see the success rate of the connectivity of our clients because of the relationship of returning citizens that work here, family members that work here, and just strong advocates. And so again, I stress trying to match them with where their interests lie, and you'll see their productivity will blow the average non-returning citizen out the water.
Yes. I totally agree. So from our experience of doing our sessions inside of the DC jail, is that we are on units where these guys and females are being prepared to come home. So they are already in programs within inside the institutions. Either it's a job program, it's some kind of educational program. They have quite a few nonprofit organizations coming in there providing them with resources and information. And then we have quite a few that have been released since we've done like our first session in DC jail back in 2018, who we maintain relationship with, because that's basically who we are. We promise to them, like, we here to educate and empower you, and that doesn't stop here, but it continues through once you are released. And they are all of the ones that we have good relationship with are extremely successful right now. They're holding top positions at, like, we have one who's at Georgetown. He's a director of institution. We have an artist who's a world-renowned artist that travels all over the country selling his artwork. We have authors. We have a lot of them are successful entrepreneurs since they've been home.
Thank you. And we're going to skip to the next question. This will be for Emily. How do you counteract an issue when a person returning from prison gets the job and receives the welcome letter with a start date, but is then let go once the background check, I'm assuming, comes back?
So this is only legal in particular situations. And so the law in DC requires that the employer doing the background check make a decision about whether the conviction is closely related to the job that the person will be doing. So first of all, there has to be conviction. It can't just be an arrest record. It can't just be a charge, something that got dropped along the way. We don't know how it ended. It has to be conviction. And then second of all, it has to be related. So would a say drug conviction be related to a pharmacy tech position? Probably. Would a shoplifting charge be related to a construction position? Probably not. And the person who is applying for the position has the right to go to DC's Office of Human Rights and file a complaint if the Second Chance Act is not being followed. And the company and the individual will go through a arbitration mediation process there. So you do have to be careful and think ahead of time about what kind of records might actually change your mind because they're directly related, and which records you think you should be letting go because they're not.
Again, I want to reiterate there's a question about where you submit your questions. If you look at the bottom of your screen, it says Q&A, the little bubble on top. You just click that button and you type in your questions. Please make sure for our Q&A session, which is currently now, that you're submitting your questions in the Q&A at the bottom of your screen and not at the webinar chat. So our next question is, have you seen any DC schools, either DCPS or charter schools, currently doing any second chance hiring?
So I know I haven't, but what we have seen that is happening. So we may have programs that are ran by returning citizens that are teaching within the school, but I don't know anyone as of yet that is hired by the school, but I do know we have returning citizens working within the school doing programming.
The next question is, please discuss education and training in prisons. How are incarcerated people selected for particular jobs in prison? What kind of trainings for the jobs? How's the selection made for specific jobs? What about education in prisons, libraries, reading groups, etc.?
That depends on the institution. Every institution doesn't have certain education. I know, I believe it's 120 hours, I believe, if you go to prison and you don't have a high school diploma, that you have to participate in programming for that many of hours. I know when I went, it was because I was under 21, I had really no choice but to participate. But again, it depends on the institution. But some of the things that you like Unicore. I mean, prisons create all kinds of material, everything from chips putting in cell phones to making Victoria's Secret underwear to tags. There's a variety. I mean, even hangers, right? So it depends on the institution. And now with I don't know why it just hit my mind. With now you can reapply to try to get like degrees and stuff through an institution now. Say because when I was here, they stopped it and we had to just end the program. But the usual work jobs they will assign you. But once you get familiar and being on a compound and making relationships, you can advocate for yourself. And a lot of times that work in the choices of employment that you receive. But I guarantee you, most individuals that are incarcerated, especially in the federal prison, depending on the security level, if it's a supermax, you're locked down 23-1 and really no access to programming. But other securities, there is, again, you work the yard, you work in the unit, all over except for opening and closing the gate. One of the things that we did attempt to doing with GO a couple of years ago, we had conversations that we're going to revisit again to see if they could turn the institutional jobs into pre-apprenticeship programs where we would even have DC nonprofit and for-profits that was willing to create the curriculum and work with the institutions, and so that they will have that, because when an individual gets released, there is nothing that's saying that I've worked in electricity, that I worked in welding, and it's just a word of mouth. And most of the certificates that are received are not nationally recognized certificates, so employers really don't know how much skill set they have in that unless they talk to the individual. They can explain step by step what they know about those fields.
We're going to take two more questions, just looking at the time. Looking at a regional lens and a regional view, this is a question from one of our business owners. Do you all work with Maryland services in collaboration like other reentry partners? I think this would also probably be for Director Carey, but if anyone else has any remarks, or Emily, please answer.
So for Morka, yes. Because we have individuals moving to the district from other states and they have to go through like interstate compact agreement to get under their parole or what have you changed, or individuals that's moving back here, or individuals that's here that's moving to other states. We usually have built relationships in probably about maybe 15 different states. And it's also because Morka is the first legislatively mandated agency that focuses on reentry. We have done like some advising to other states to create this, but we have strong relationships in Virginia and Maryland, where most of our people are relocating to.
And I'll just quickly add that the FAQ section at the very back has links to some of the programs that are available in Maryland and Virginia if you have businesses in the region.
Okay, and thank you all for the Q&A. Just going to our last question for one of our core group partners. What advice would you give to returning citizens on how to handle the subject of their conviction in conversations with employers, and when to reveal it? And conversely, what advice would you give for employers when they find out that an individual has a conviction? What questions should they ask to help them still feel good about making the hiring decision?
I'm gonna try to let somebody else go.
Yeah, I was curious. I'm gonna make one comment because I know in one of our sessions, we were asked that question by one of the participants who was a resident at one of the institutions, and our HR person just told me, be honest.
I would strongly encourage, speak to how you're gonna be an asset based on the job that you're applying for. And for employers that find out that an individual has been incarcerated, I would strongly encourage you to consider when the incarceration occurred, because there's a lot of transformation that takes place throughout incarceration and into the community. The district is very progressive in working with returning citizens and building skill sets, changing mindsets, addressing mental health, addressing literacy, and all of these things. And that is never revealed when you pull up a person's background. The person that is in front of you, for the most part, don't even look like that individual that's in that mugshot. And the one thing I would strongly encourage is that they want the same thing that you want as an employer, to work in a safe environment where they're able to take care of themselves and take care of their families, and they want to live in safe communities as well. And so, again, I would strongly suggest looking at when that conviction took place and that person has gone through many transitions and are in front of you because they're looking to continue on a successful reentry path. Because if not, they wouldn't even come in for an interview if they had other alternatives. So I would say give that person a chance, and it may end up being one of the best assets or additions that you have made to your company. I'm one of them.
And lastly, just the last question, let's make it a very brief answer. If you could add one thing to DC's second chance hiring policies or programs, what would it be, Emily? And then we'll go to Director Carey, and then Dr. Bullock, and then Melanie.
One of the things I think I'm really excited about is getting more second chance hires into district and federal governments. And so many of the jobs that exist in DC are there. And I know that this is something that DC government is working on, and it'll be exciting to see whether the federal government can pick that up too.
And I'll be brief with just tagging along with what Emily had just said. Let's do this and let's make it happen, and know that statistics are so great with people and family members who have individuals who are incarcerated, who have been incarcerated and have come home and making tremendous strides and moving forward. Not to be ashamed, just go and do what you can do what you do best.
And yeah, and I would just piggyback off of everything that was said in that list. We've actually worked with everyone that's on that list in this guide, and most of them have returning citizens working in that space. And I would just encourage employers, don't allow the media, what you see off of certain incidents, to make you fearful of this population. We have successful returning citizens in the district almost in every industry, from development to cleaning the streets, right? That you may be sitting by on the subway. It may be a returning citizen that is driving that bus or that train, maybe returning citizens that is running that restaurant where you're going to get your lunch meal at, or that driver that car that you order. We are ingrained in this city as part of the fabric of this city. And so I would say, when you think about an individual that you're considering hiring, think about the person that's sitting in front of you, saying the skill set that they bring to your business and how they're going to be an asset. And don't let the media sway you, because it's not a true reflection of all the countless returning citizens who are successful, who are looking for the opportunity to wow themselves and your company. And so I just ask you to remain open to evolution, because we are the most overlooked workforce that is looking to add to your bottom line, not only just as a consumer, but as a deliverer of your services and products.
And Melanie, you want to have any closing remarks?
Mr. Carey, Dr. Carey actually said it all, but I would just add that a lot of times I know we look at data and statistics, but like Director Carey said, while that may be important in certain instances, I think it's important, as Director Carey mentioned, to actually engage with lived experience, listen to what that lived experience is, and actually talk to former or returning citizens, or people like Director Carey or Reverend Bullock, instead of just relying on data and statistics.
Just want to wrap up the panel. Thank you so much,
Now, one last
panelists.
thing, if the employees that's online, if today you say that I want to give returning citizens a chance, we have a roster full of returning citizens that are looking for that opportunity that you are willing to give today. So reach out to us.
Please do. Thanks again, Director Carey. This has been an incredible, enlightening discussion, and I want to thank all of our panelists for their time, their expertise, and their dedication to second chance hiring. These conversations are just the beginning, and we hope this discussion encourages more employers, as well as our chamber, to take action and utilize the FAQ as a guide for making informed and equitable hiring decisions. I'm going to throw it back the mic to Jean. Thank you so much for partnering on another webinar with us. And I know you're going to discuss the upcoming in-person event in April. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Simone. Thank you. And thank all our wonderful panelists and presenters that participated in this webinar and made it what it was. Such informative information. I actually got goosebumps a little bit when Director Curry spoke about, the returning citizen being your bus driver or your train driver. I just wanted that kind of like to set in a little bit that we are literally a part of the community. But not to go too far into that, I'm going to, for the sake of time, move right along into our agenda and slides, and I'm going to share with you why you should join the Second Chance Hiring Alliance. And yes, you should join the Second Chance Hiring Alliance. The Second Chance Hiring Alliance, or the SCHA membership, means opening doors to networking, direct access to talent, informational resources, collaboration with workforce development programs, and the chance to amplify your company's commitment to social responsibility. Again, all at no cost to you. By joining the Alliance, you position your business as a leader in second chance hiring, fostering positive change within organizations and the broader community. Some of these items we have touched on in the last slide, but I just wanted to re-emphasize, some of these, because I don't think joining as a member is really exciting and invaluable to your work. I'm sorry, I do think, not don't think, that joining as a member is really exciting and invaluable to your workspace. So please contact me, Gene Downing, and or any of my other colleagues on this call if you are interested to joining the Second Chance Hiring Alliance. And now that I talked a bit about why would you join, I would give a little bit of information on what membership and joining the Second Chance Hiring Alliance actually means. The SCHA members encompasses a diverse group of DC area employers united by their commitment to or interest in implementing second chance hiring practices. Whether already engaged in such hiring or eager to learn, members benefit from shared knowledge, networking opportunities, and collaborative environment. SCHA members comprises of a diverse range of DC area employers spanning both for-profit businesses and nonprofit organizations. Our membership is a dynamic blend of entities that are already actively engaged in second chance hiring. and those eager to explore and implement such practices in their workplaces. Membership is entirely free, and member logos will be added to our website, and you'll be uplifted and engaged in implementing second chance hiring practices in no time. I would like to also go into what Simone talked about, our upcoming in-person Second Chance Hiring Month event. So please save the date for April 29th at 2 p.m. at the Truth Reformer Building. Again, join us, join the SCHA, GWBCC, and RBIJ on Tuesday, April 29th from 2 to 6 p.m. for an important event celebrating Second Chance Month. This event will feature business leaders, employment professionals, directly impacted residents, and representatives from workforce development programs offering resources, information, and direct support to business owners and employers for DC-based businesses looking to hire just as impacted workers. The event will include panels, expert speakers, opportunities for direct one-on-one coaches for employers, and a reception. Save the date and stay tuned for more details. We are at time, but before you guys go, I want to thank you for coming. But I also want to thank the participants for their presentations. But we also have a webinar. We have a survey before you leave the webinar. If you can take the survey and also to save the date, that would be great. And again, we are at time, so I would close out the webinar as I come. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And our contact information, if you want to contact us, is here. Reach out to myself or anyone in that email. And yes, thank you for coming. Thank our panelists. It's been